Morning, everyone. Could you finish getting your breakfast and please take a seat? Hey, Mark. Morning, everyone. Come on. Come on. The sun should wake you up. Welcome to the August 21st meeting of the Rotary Club of Daniel Island, proud members of District 7770. I'm Chip Law. I have the privilege of being our president for this year. Today, we have Erin Kienzle from LowCountry Live, who has so many things that she could talk to us about. And she's a mom, she's an auctioneer, she's a TV host, and she's an introvert. And that's what she's going to tell us about. Somebody that is exposed to the public that much is going to talk to you about introvert. That takes guts. Thank you, Erin. A little bit later, before we get to Erin, Tom Carroll is going to talk about this year's activities in community service. And I think you're going to find some interesting ways we're approaching it this year. And he's already deep into the action of getting us going. And I see we have a special guest here, Sandy Morkel, who will be district governor next year. And Bill Theophald introduces guests, but let's hear it for Sandy. So to get going, we have Nick Armandi, and he's going to do the invocation and pledge. Nick.
Good morning. Please bow your heads. A rotary prayer for gratitude. Dear Lord, we come to you with a prayer of gratitude. We are thankful for the many blessings you have bestowed on us. We are thankful for the family, friends, the community, which we all share, specifically first responders, churches, and Rotary. We like to recognize all the men who put on a uniform, the police, the fire, the military, who protect us every day. Please look into the hearts of these Rotarians and grant our petitions. Please guide us through this day to do your will. Stand in front of us to show us the way. Stand next to us to give us your many graces. Stand behind us to catch us if we fall. Our task is to love, forgive, and pray for the many gifts of your mercy. Teach us to trust in you so that you will be there. In your name we pray. Amen.
So how many in here like numbers? Ah, I see. See what? Is that it? Tom and Bill. Nobody else likes numbers. We have mathophobes. Well, the reason I mention numbers is that we have two open positions for treasurers, the club treasurer and the foundation treasurer. And we are in such a good position to be able to take people who are relatively new to the club, train them, and have them be in line for future leaders in the club by taking on these important responsibilities. And I would really like people to think hard about it and get back to me if there is any interest. Or if you've got other ideas about how we could take care of the financial obligations for the club, again, please get back to me. I would appreciate it. So we have our card bucket. We passed that out in order to help fund ongoing live research for Alzheimer's. And now, Bill Theophald, do we have guests today? Well, I know we have one.
Good morning. Surprisingly enough, we have Sandy here, and Sandy has a guest.
Thank you, Julie Hussey. Julie is has a company called Civic Communications. She's a PR expert to different industries, and she's also running for Senate and House seat number 43 that goes all along the coast. Senate seat 43. So please welcome Julie Hussey.
Very good. And for those of you who are interested, today is National Senior Citizens Day.
It's pretty good when a day hits over 50% of the people in the room. Ben Lapper, you have a bit of a reminder for folks? Where are you, Ben?
All right. Good morning, folks. Just as a quick reminder, we gave a little presentation last week on the polio walk or run or bike or swim. We're looking to collect money, $5,000 from this good looking group here within the next 2 months. And your commitment sheets are right in front of you. We have had 8 or 9 people respond so far. Our goal is to certainly have at least half of us to be extroverts and to be walking out there and to be active. So please sign up and work with us toward this worthy goal. Appreciate your help and keep on walking. Thank you.
Now, Tom Carroll will tell us the state of our current community service programs, what we've done recently and what we plan to do. And I think Tom has a new and encouraging and refreshing way to take a look at the way our club does community service. Tom?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Thank you for the chance to update you a little bit. I think anytime the Daniel Allen Club talks about community service or people in the community think about the Daniel Allen Club beyond the duck race, I think the first thing people think about is the nail bangers. So first and foremost, I think that's such a great place to start. So here's Dr. Bill Green.
Thank you. I've been graciously given 2 minutes to tell you about what Nail Bangers are doing. Most of you know the Nail Bangers is an organization. We actually have 50 people signed up who are interested in helping to take care of the people up in Eugene and Cainhoy. Something happened to our slide. The poverty that we see in Eugene makes you want to cry. So we go up there to try to do reconstruction and repairs on homes for people who can't do it themselves. Are you working? My 2 minutes start when the slides start working. Okay. We do lots of things, and I'm still not making this work. There we go. We've got big projects and small projects. This is one of our first and one of our big projects. This house didn't have a fire exit, so we built a stairway for them, a big project. The people, a lady was coming out of the hospital and was told she couldn't leave the hospital until she could get in her house. So we built a wheelchair ramp for her to get into her house. We do lots of stuff. We do repairs on the outside. We do repairs on the inside of the house. There's our friend Tom installing a air conditioner in the wall. Most of the houses up there leak, so we have the opportunity to get on the roof and try to do repairs of those. Some more pictures just to show you what we do. This is a complete bathroom renovation that we did. another bathroom, a door. All the stairs get rotten after a period of time. People can't get out of their houses, so we repair the floors. This is a big job that we're doing for a fellow. This is only part of the job, but putting a sheetrock into the ceiling and insulation. Lots of painting. You'll see some of your friends' faces on the pictures that we have here. A repair of a freezer, stove. Another leaky roof that we had to climb on top to try to get that repaired. I've always been critical of people up there because they've got garbage all over the place. But up in Eugene and Cainhoy, there's no garbage pickup. So if you don't have a car and you don't have garbage pickup, your place gets kind of messy. So we cleaned up one of the sites and brought it out to the dump. And after each of our projects, we do something. Here we're enjoying a beer and a pizza pie to thank the people who came to help. So that's it. Thank you.
So I wanted to start off with the nail bangers because the first thing that we did in August is back to school focus for us for July and August. The first thing we did on August 12th was partner with Triton United Way, and a big thank you to Maureen Cannon because Cainhoy Elementary wasn't even on Trident's United Way's radar. And now they're one of only two stores that get, two schools that get supported with back to school. So they wish list from the school. There was 3 items on the wish list that United Way wasn't able to do. We spent about $1,300 and were able to fill in those holes. We had 8 members and 2 spouses. As Bill said, a lot of the nail bangers projects happen in Hugie. And I was just amazed to see the number of people that approached Bill and his wife that evening to thank them for all the work that they've done in the community. I suppose not just Dr. Green and his wife, the community reading room and all that. It's certainly a recognition that Rotary has now become a part of the fabric of this community. Bryce Ellington is one of our scholarship winners, and he's a graduate of Cainhoy Elementary. We've done playground work and computers work there, a lot of work with the Baldwin Carson Community Center. And Feeding the Multitudes is one of our duck race grant recipients. So we've incrementally become an important part of this community. And, the nail bangers are really kind of the front edge of that. On the 15th and 16th, we did some work here at the Daniel Island School. It's the first day of school drop-off. This is Tom Cullen's project. He's done it for the 2nd or 3rd year in a row. By us doing this, there are 10 members out there with no cost to the club. By us doing this, we free up the teachers and the PTA members to meet the families and the children on the first day of school. Moving into September and October, our focus becomes on our military first responders. We're doing work with Soldiers Angels. This is an organization that's near and dear to Mike Geyer's heart. And there's an organization called, it's a veterans organization based in San Antonio, Texas. They service active duty and retired and deceased military members and their family. The Charleston chapter is hosting a project called Operation Stand Down on September 20th. There, basic medical attention, warm meals, haircuts, etc., will be provided that day. Our role is, at the end of the day, they'll walk away with the box lunch. Our part, Mike has done a brilliant job, I think, carving out a piece of this project belonging to the Rotary Club. And our job is to give them the box lunch. We're going to spend about $1,000 to do it. Our meeting on September 11th is at Blackbaud, and Blackbaud graciously allowed us to stay an extra hour. We're going to bring all the packing supplies there, and I'll bring all the food there. I just can't think of a more special day to be doing something for our homeless vets. So if your calendar allows on September 11th, you can stay a little extra time. That would be great. basically what we're doing right now is following a community service event plan that Mike put together when he was chair of the community service group. We're focus areas for a 2-month interval. There's another possibility for September 14th. This is the Heroes Run here on Daniel Island. Last year we set up a tent and we're able to give out liquid IV to all the runners, but all the tent is from our duck race. It's branded with Rotary, and then it gives us an opportunity to tell the community a little bit more about what we do. Following all of that, we've got food drives coming up around Thanksgiving and the holiday. Beyond that, I've been doing a lot of work with an organization called 3M. They're a great organization. Perhaps you've heard of them. They've big players here in the community. So 3M, Mary, Maureen, and Mike. And we've been taking the opportunity. They've let me tag along as we deliver checks to the grant recipients. And there we're just trying to do everything we can to cultivate volunteer opportunities through our grant recipient. I want to take a moment to talk about a really exciting international project that Bob brought to the group. It's a project called Bikes for Africa. On each of the tables, there's a little one-pager about Bikes for Africa, as well as a sign-in sheet. So let me just spend 2 minutes on that if I can. There's a 8-year-old 501c3 here in Charleston called Charleston's Bike for Humanity. It was started by the former director of the middle school at Fort of God. I'm sorry, I forget the name of the school. In over 8 years, they've sent over 4,000 bikes to Africa. They're sent to communities where mobility really doesn't exist. So if you think about all the great work that's being done in education and medical by a number of organizations, including Rotary, on the continent of Africa, you get all these things in place and then people can't get there because there's no mobility, there's no cars or whatever. So bikes really give them the opportunity to take advantage of this. And beyond this, there's a group in Carroll Creek County in Carroll Creek, Maryland, a Rotary group there that does a program like this. They've connected with 2 Rotary groups in South Africa. So basically they fill up the container with bikes, send it to South Africa, and our sister chapters in South Africa distribute the bikes. We get a container that has one more trip in its life left. It has to be watertight, but we fill up about 450 bikes in this container. It gets shipped to South Africa. It gets delivered, in this case, to South Africa. It gets delivered, and the container now becomes a bike repair shop for the community. So it's an amazing program. There's 4 Charleston area Rotary clubs that have made a 2-year commitment to send 2 containers or about 900 bikes over there. One of our members in our fellow chapters here in Charleston has a warehouse and has donated space for staging and packing. We're going to each of the Rotary clubs is going to set up a committee in the club to do it. And Christian, where's Christian? Everybody knows Christian and heard his my story a couple times ago when we were in Blackbot. Has very graciously agreed to become our committee chair for Daniel Island Club. So he just started a new job 2 days ago. He's got a 19-month at home who's gone to daycare for the first time, and he got about 2 hours sleep. And so far, he hasn't reneged on his promise to help us. So please be very kind to Christian. If you have time after the meeting, Christian and I would love to meet with each of you. Again, there's a one-pager about it on each table, and there's a sign-up. So the sign-up, I'd ask you to think about if you have any old bikes that you'd like to donate, or if you know people in your sphere of influence, neighbors that have bikes that they're trying to get rid of. We're going to try to do kind of a soft drop off on September 29th. It's a Sunday in the afternoon. So Christian will be trying to get a committee together. We'd like to kind of test the infrastructure to make sure it works. So if you, this would be a great help if you have bikes that you'd like to donate. I think I talked to Jim when we were at the Daniel Island Club. He had one and knew a couple of neighbors that might have had some. So let's get it started to see if it works before we try to explode this thing a little bit later. Yes, Mary Jo? Bikes for all ages. The beach, what do they call them? The beach cruisers are the best because they hold up well. I mean, we do take, some people have donated, $3,000 road bikes, and it's terrific. And what we do is sell those. The organization sells those and takes the receipts and then helps with the expenses to get over there. It costs about $10,000 the container to get over there unless we can, figure out ways to do it. But it's a terrific program, and it has so many possibilities. And I'll talk all day about it with you and Christian afterwards. So please spend some time looking at the one pager. And if you have bikes, we desperately need them. Lastly, I just ask you this question: of all the things our club does, what interests you the most? So reach out to me at meetings, or here's my email address. Beyond the duck race, about a third of our membership volunteers at these different opportunities, and we'd love to try to explode that. And the hope really is to seek out and execute meaningful opportunities with our great recipients. All right, I'll be around afterwards if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Excellent. And next, we have our own Steve Slifer, who will be introducing our special guest, Erin Kienzle. Steve, take it away.
Well, good morning, all. We are privileged to have with us this morning Erin Kienzle, and she is the host of LowCountry Live on WCIV. So if you all watch television in the morning, you've probably seen her show. I kind of liken it to a localized version of the Today Show. That's a competitor, so I'm not sure Erin wants that. But in any event, you watch the show to kind of find out what's new, what's hot, what's happening in Charleston. She does a great job with that. She's been doing on-air shows for 20-some years now. And what I found interesting one last night, she interviews more than 2,000 people a year. So that's a lot of people. Clearly, this lady is an extrovert extraordinaire, right? No question about it. But she did a TED Talk back in March, and it was talking a lot about the differences between extroverts and introverts. And it certainly got me thinking about sort of who I am, and I have a feeling she's going to do the same thing for each of you this morning. In addition to all the things that she does on air, she is also a licensed auctioneer. So she'll go to a lot of these sort of fundraisers for nonprofits and turn them into something that's pretty exciting. So that's kind of cool. She's a video coach. She's the mother of 4 girls. Show up here at 7:30 in the morning for Rotary, but take care of the kids, right? I don't know how she does all this, but somehow she manages to. And she has spoken to our club in the past. It was back in August of 2015. And I think we've been on there a number of times talking about the duck race, various members of the club. So she's a veteran. We know her well. In the past, she's talked about her day job and what she does on LowCountry TV and her background. This time, she's going to talk about extroverts and introverts. So, Erin, if you would, please.
Hi, everybody. Take this off. You're probably sick of me if you were here in 2015. No? Anyone there? So I'm thrilled to be here. As you said, my name is Erin Kienzle. Hi, George. I host LowCountry Live. As you know, I'm on television. Stand by, let me get set up. I also I do a lot of things, as he mentioned. And I just want to mention back in 2015, I have no idea what I said. I'm sure I was talking about LowCountry Live, but I was a Rotary scholar. You guys sent me to Cuernavaca, Mexico in 2001. Thank you for that. I'm from Ohio, so I went through the whole, interview process, and I got to go to Cuernavaca for 3 months. And we lived in in a home where they spoke no English. We went to the language school every day, I should say. In hindsight, we did a lot of stupid things too. There were times that we were traveling and it probably wasn't the safest, but I'm here today, so happy to do that. And the Rotary meetings in Mexico are way different than yours. Do you guys know that? It involves a lot of tequila. I'm not kidding. They'd be like, arriba, abajo, el centro, adentro. And you're like, hi, me llamo Erin. So I've been on television for a long time. He mentioned I'm a video coach. That was kind of my COVID pivot when we were stuck at home. I started teaching people how to show up online on Instagram and how to do videos. So that is another business that started organically. And I am a benefit auctioneer. So I know that's kind of weird. When we think of auctioneer, you usually probably think of a man in a cowboy hat. I always say we do not sell cars or cattle. My company called Giving for Good, we only service 501c3 nonprofits. And I have 2 other auctioneers that work underneath me, and we do 50 galas annually across the Southeast. So it's extremely, extremely rewarding. So how do I end up on the TED stage? Well, Sandy has seen my TED Talk several times, so I apologize. I'm going to bore you again today. But I get asked now, since I've done it, people are like, I want to do what you did. So I'm just going to set it up with how I got there, and then I'm just going to give you my TED Talk. So basically, when you're on the internet, you make all kinds of friends, right? And I met this guy, his name is Jerry Sandusky, and he is the voice of the Baltimore Ravens. So we met on Instagram, and Jerry was like, Erin, he's like, you should do a TED Talk. He's like, I did one. And I'm like, Jerry, I have nothing to talk about. And he's like, no, it's really good. It's great for business. You would be a natural, yada, yada. I'm like, Jerry, we don't know each other that well. Like, I'm not cut out for TED. I'm not an expert. I don't have, deep knowledge on a subject. End of story. So then one night, I think it was like around August. Are applications open right now? Applications are open. So hopefully I inspire one of you. But truth be told, I was drinking wine on the couch with my husband, and I saw it come across my Instagram feed that they were looking. So I was like, oh, what the heck? So I filled out the form, and I really did not give it much thought. I was just like, done. Several months or weeks later, I got a phone call, and they said, Erin, we've cut it. There were 400 applicants, and I think you were down to 50 or 40, something like that. So I was like, oh my gosh. So you go through these rounds of interviews. So I had my first interview, and I honestly did not remember what I wrote on the application. Now, it was either the wine or I was just in a hurry. I don't know. But I knew my title was The Secret Powers of Introverts. Because people always find it fascinating when I have a career that is very public and on stage and in front of people all the time, that really I just want to be in my pajamas at home. That's my ultimate natural state. So you go through these interviews, and I think it was 1, 2, if not 3 rounds. And then finally, right before Christmas last year, we got the notification that I had been selected to be one of 14 speakers. So that was a huge honor. I was so excited. But then you get to work. And this is what people don't know, that you have coaches. So I already had a busy schedule, and I'm like, what do you mean I have to go weekly to this coaching session? So you get put with other speakers, you have personalized coaches. And I was a little arrogant about it because I was like, I'm on stage, I know how to talk, I don't really need this. This pushed and stretched me further than anything else. And I got so much value out of it. And my criticism always was that I was too polished. And that's hard to undo 20 years of television, right? So I think I'm probably still a little too polished, but I worked really hard to have bigger gestures and be raw and more real. But the beauty of doing a TEDx speech, of course, is great for business, but it's the connections you make with those other speakers. Because I met some wonderful people that I would have never otherwise, cross paths with. So here I am today. I'm just going to deliver my TEDx speech as it was from what I remember. So Sandy, I apologize if I'm boring you again. We'll pretend there's a red dot here because you walk out and you stand on the circle. So the one place that I feel relaxed and comfortable and safe is the bathroom. That's true. As in, frequently before I step on a podium or on stage, I'm always in the bathroom. And for me, it has always been the bathroom. So I remember when I was a little girl and I was in elementary school and I'd be sitting in class and it just got to be too loud, too much. The kids would be talking, but I quickly learned that I could raise my little hand, I could request a hall pass, and I could go to the bathroom and I could have a moment of quiet to reset. And then I got older and I went to college and I showed up at Ohio University and I met 3 girls I had never seen before in my life. And we were all to room together in this teeny tiny little dorm room, and they were loud and they were messy and they were drunk. But I knew when I needed to get away and I just needed a moment to myself, I could go to the bathroom. And then I became a mother and I had 2 sweet baby girls. You know how it is. Tap, tap, tug, tug, mama, 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 enough. But I just needed a second to think, a moment to myself. I knew I could go to the bathroom and I could lock the door. So I realize I don't publicly admit that my entire life I have been escaping to the bathroom because I realize that's weird. And it wasn't until recently that I was telling a friend a couple years ago, I said, look, I always run to the bathroom. That's number 1. But number 2, at this point, I didn't feel good. I was drained. I had no energy. The doctors were doing blood work to see what was wrong with me. And I was telling her, and she said, I know what's wrong. She said, you don't feel good because you are an introvert. I said, what? First of all, I am not an introvert. I'm on TV. And second of all, what does that have to do with not feeling well? And she said, well, it's all about energy. She said, in versus out. Extroverts, when they are in social situations, they are filled up and they feel great. Introverts in social situations, they are drained. And she said, you, my friend, have been very busy and that's why you don't feel good. Huh. It was the first time in my life that the light bulb went off. Is this what's wrong with me? So immediately I called my dad in Ohio and I was like, Dad, guess what? I finally figured out, breaking news. I know what's wrong with me. And he said, hang on, let me sit down because this is going to be a long conversation. I said, Dad, listen, really, drum roll, please. Are you ready for it? I am an introvert. Shh, no, you're not. You don't hate people. I said, no, Dad, like really, it's about energy, in versus out. Look, I know my daughter. You're on TV. You're not an introvert. And then I realized that my dad was never going to understand where I'm coming from because we are polar opposites. And I will use an airplane ride as an example. When I get on an airplane, and raise your hand if you can relate to this, I have AirPods in and I have a book open because I do not want to signal to the person next to me that I am open for conversation. My dad, however, he flies here from Ohio. I pick him up at Charleston International. He comes practically skipping out of the gate with a woman at his side. And he's like, Erin, I want you to meet Donna. She's got a son on Johns Island, 2 grandkids. She used to be a teacher and her favorite color is green. My dad is an extrovert. So I quickly realized that even my own father couldn't understand where I'm coming from. So let's break some of the myths of being introverted. To be an introvert, first of all, does not mean that we hate people. It's simply not true. It does not mean that we lock ourselves in dark rooms and we play video games all day. And it does not mean that we are shy or socially awkward or weird. In fact, we can be quite charming. So when I went to research this, I found that it depends on the study, but as many as up to 50% of the population self-identifies as an introvert. Now, I recognize it's a sliding scale. It can be based on social situations, but how fascinating that about half of you in here would raise your hand and say you're an introvert. You're like me. And there's many famous introverts. So Albert Einstein is one of them, not surprising there. We've got Meryl Streep. Many performers, actors, and actresses are introverts. And then Barack Obama, former president. It's very well known that at the end of the day, he would have dinner with his family, and then he would go and he would lock himself away because I'm sure he had work to do, but he knew that he was drained and he needed that time to fill up. So here's what I know to be true about introverts. Number 1, we do not like small talk. Now, I'm not saying we can't do it. Steve, I love you. I'm not saying we can't be charming and delightful, but for us to go to an event where we are just chit-chatting and having surface level conversations for an hour, it is very draining. Number two, we do not need a lot of friends. In fact, we would rather have a tight circle of really close friends that we know well and deeply versus a lot of accruing, just a lot of people. And number three, our alone time is so precious to us because it is our time to fill up. So, for example, if you were to come to my home and just drop by unexpected, I am not going to answer the door. In fact, I might go as far as to freeze, don't move, so you don't know that I'm home. So while it may seem that we're at a disadvantage, introverts have less energy than the rest of the population, we do have some superpowers, and here they are. First of all, I think that introverts are excellent salespeople. Now, I can see the surprise in some of your faces. I know that's counterintuitive. You expect it to be the chatty Cathy, the one who can win you over with her words. And sure, that's probably true. But introverts, we listen and we ask questions. And the entire time we are analyzing your body language, your energy. We want to know what makes you tick. And when it comes time for the sale, maybe we use fewer words. However, I guarantee our words are more powerful. Second, I think introverts are extremely self-motivated. So I will say, and I've said it, we don't like external factors. Our motivation comes from within. So our drive, our desire to achieve, to get things done, it's all right here. So if you want a job done, ask an introvert to do it. And number three, I think we know and we use and understand what I think to be the most powerful word in the English language. And it's a word so strong that, in fact, 2 years ago, it was my word of the year. Other friends were saying love, gratitude. Do you want to know my word of the year? No. Because I knew that if I were going to survive, every decision I made had to be put on those scales of energy, in versus out. How could I find the balance to continue with my life? So while introverts do have superpowers, if you will, why do I feel like we live in a society that always celebrates the extroverts? And I'll use my 2 children as an example. I have 2 daughters, 2 stepdaughters. My 2, one introvert, one extrovert. The introvert goes to school. We go to parent-teacher conferences. What do you think they say? She is so sweet. She's a little quiet. She could raise her hand more. And I feel like they didn't notice her until the test scores came back and she was gifted. And then my second daughter, the extrovert, she goes to school. And what do they say? Oh, we just love her. She is so fun. She's got so many friends. She always knows the answer. She is so smart. And her test scores are exactly the same as my first daughter, celebrating the extrovert. And it doesn't end in childhood because you become adults. We go to the boardroom. Why, who is the person that's celebrated? It's the loudest, the first person to jump up, shout out the answer and the solution. But I am telling you to watch that introvert in the corner because he or she may have a better answer. He or she may be your next billionaire, the next Steve Jobs sitting in the back. So in a society that celebrates the extrovert, and as introverts, I recognize that when we're in social situations, we sometimes are leaking energy like a sieve. But we do have one ultimate superpower, and that is this. Introverts are the alchemists of energy. An alchemist is someone who turns nothing into gold. We take our energy that is small and finite, and we learn how to protect it. We learn how to nurture it, and we learn how to grow it. And we are waiting for the release, waiting to release it with power and purpose. And how do we do that? It's easy. It's the switch. For me, it's the red light that turns on before I go on air. It's the spotlight that clicks on when I step on stage. And it's the internal switch that happens every time I enter a social situation. Deep breath, big smile, shoulders back, because my friends, we are on. And we are spewing energy and we are having fun and we're laughing and it's great and it's fantastic. But the entire time, our meter is doing this on its way to E. And I used to worry what would happen when I finally hit E. But now I know, and I've always known, I can go to the bathroom. And now I ask you, my introverted friends, where do you go to fill up? Thank you. How'd I do? Questions? Are you raising your hand because you're an introvert?
Is your husband an introvert or
Oh, no.
extrovert?
He is an extrovert. That's a great question. I find that sometimes we, opposites attract. And once I think I spent my entire year thinking I was an extrovert, feeling like that's how I had to fake it. So it's very relief for me, I should say, now that I know and he knows, and we know that we have to like balance things out. So he works from home and I recognize like we need to go out sometimes. Like he needs to see other people, but he's also okay when I'm like, I'm done. I'm going to stay here. You do your thing. So we both respect each other in that way. Who's an introvert? See, 50%. Love y'all. I love my extroverted friends too. I wish I could be like you. Yeah.
All right. Just heard you say my wife is also a Bobcat, and she graduated in a journalism degree. I'm just curious, was that your degree?
Yes, I went to Scripps School Journalism.
Yep.
Maybe we know each other. Maybe we met each other in the bar line, like who knows, or the bathroom line.
Erin, I think in the note I sent you, I said, you made me think about who I am. And to me, sitting back, looking at my little computer, clearly I'm the introvert. I love it. But then other times when I sort of go out and do things, I'm the other thing. So can't we be both?
I think, yes. And I think that was what was astounding to me from my TEDx is how many people send me memes about introverts. They're constantly reaching out to me. It made people think about what they are. And there is to say like you're ambiverted, like you can be both. I think we all though have like a natural innate state, right? So like because you say you're an introvert, it doesn't mean you can't go out and do those things and have a great time, but innately like you need that alone time to fill up. Like I loved COVID. It was great for me. Other people struggled. I recognize that. Yes.
I have a question, Erin. We went through a Myers-Briggs thing when I was working, and my boss was an introvert, and I had a little trouble communicating properly. So I asked him, how do you like to communicate? And he said, if you can send me an email in advance so I can think about it, it just helps me because sometimes I feel hijacked if you come out with something I wasn't expecting. Do you have any hints about communicating between introverts and experts, or introverts and introverts, or, other than letting people go to the bathroom? Beyond that,
it is funny now. Every time I'm in the bathroom, people are like, oh no. I think everyone is different. I think to your point, like he was saying that he needed more time to process, or like a heads up. So that's how I feel like when I say someone coming to my house, it's not that I don't want people there. It's not that we don't invite people there. I just want to know ahead of time because I need to turn that switch on. So if he has like a tough question to answer, my guess is that he needs time to process before he can address that. So it's just, communication style, not to say like we can't do things on the fly, but I don't know, like innately, I think sometimes we like to be in the corner and process and think a little bit more.
Erin,
Yes.
good morning. Thank you for sharing and thank you for
Yeah.
being here with us. Mark Smith, tell us without too much thought, your top 3 events during your role at LowCountry Live when you were able to meet and tell a story and bring a news to the audience. What stands out in memorable? It could be funny, it could be heartbreaking, it could be inspiring. Top 3.
Yeah, no, that's a great. So I'll just expand that to my 20 years of TV. One of the most shocking moments was once I was downtown and I was about to go live, and like you can hear them in your ear and they're like, okay, stand by. And I hear this guy behind me and he says, watch this. And I turned around, it was a street festival. And I turned around and I said, whatever you think you're about to do, respect me and my job and don't do it. And they're tossing to me, it was Bill Sharp. I was at Channel 5 at the time. They're tossing to me. And the guy that had said, watch this, reached out and dumped his beer down the back of my jacket. as they're tossing to me. So I'm like, hey, Bill, thank you so much. And the cops tackled him. So you see the police behind me, like tackling the guy to the ground. And I'm just sad because this was before we had like social media. So I don't know where that clip is. So that was number one. On LowCountry Live, I can't think, we've just had so many good moments. We've had people pass out. We've had, they get really nervous when they come on TV. We've had like lots of bands come on. It's just fun, like how music can, fill the energy. I would say my saddest moment, and was a defining moment in my career, not to leave you with a sad moment, but I went to school for journalism. So I was going to be a news reporter, an anchor. They hired me to do weather. I didn't even know what a tropical depression was. I was from Ohio. Like I had no clue. So they put me through meteorology school. I did become a meteorologist, but I had to report. So I do weather on the weekends. I had to report during the week. It was North Charleston, and there was a missing 3-year-old. So I'm standing there with a live truck. We're getting ready to go live at 5. And the cops are searching the woods. They can't find him. And I see there was an above ground pool, and I see the cop pull back the cover on the pool. And I see them go and tell the mother, and I watch her collapse. And it still makes me emotional because her son had climbed the ladder to the pool, slid under it, and drowned. And they're in my ear, and they say, get an interview. You need to talk to that mom. And that was the moment that I was like, nope, I know how to write. I went to school for journalism, but this is not what I want to do with my life. So I decided like weather is happy, fun for the most part. There's a little calculus involved, but that's when I was like, I don't want to report hard news anymore. It was a very defining factor in my life. And I respect, because there's many reporters that are unfazed by that and they do great jobs. Like I just decided that wasn't the one for me. Yep. Yes.
What is the most interesting bathroom you've been in?
I don't know. You're asking for a friend. That's a good question. I always like when I do these galas all over, that's where I go and like prep and have my team knows like Erin's going to the bathroom. So I don't know. I think it was the aquarium in Atlanta. Is that the one where you could see fish while you were in the bathroom? Yeah. That was pretty cool.
So you do live auctions for nonprofits. Tell us your favorite one that you do and why.
Oh, I can't. We have 50 of them. Oh, that's hard. I really love Make-A-Wish. I mean, it's just magical because as we go, like we know a wish is $7,500. So as we're going through the night, we're like funding wishes for these kids, and the kids are present, which is really, really sweet. I do another smaller one. They're called Light from Light, and they have a medical facility in Haiti that is like really touching. I love them all. It's really hard. It's really hard. But if you guys need $5,000, I'm happy to auction something off right now. Like, what do you want me to sell?
Did you go to auctioneer school?
I did.
Can you give us an example?
Well, first of all, auctioneer school is a whole new basket. Like it is crazy. So you have to be licensed in the state. Like any licensing, you have to take a state exam. So it's in Greenville. It's 80 hours, but it's done in 10 days. So you go, they take you to the cattle auction, they take you to the car auction, they have an art auctioneer, and then most of it is like law. And then you have to take the test. And I'll tell you, I barely passed that test because I didn't pay a lot of attention in class because I was like, I'm a benefit auctioneer. I don't need to know any of this. But the test was full of like, what do you call a baby calf? What is this horse? What is this pig? And I was like, I don't know. But yeah, they make you practice bid calling. So if you're a cattle auctioneer, the whole thing is speed. They're called lots. So you have to sell the lots as fast as you can. A benefit auctioneer, you guys are drunk. So we are slower. And speaking of energy, my job is just to manipulate the energy in the room. And I know that. And I can read a room, we can read bidders. But when we do bid calling practice, you start, like they'll make you count to 100 and back. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then you do it by 2.5s. 2.5, 5, 7.5, now 10, now 15.5, now 22, 22.5, 25. Then you do 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20. And then, it just escalates from there. So as a benefit auctioneer, I don't go that fast. We start with higher dollars because their prizes, their auction packages are worth more. But if we were to start at $1,000, let's do it. This is not real money, but like, who wants to kick me off? Who's at 1,000? Anybody? Would you go 1,000, 1,000? We got 1,500. Are you at 15 in the back? You can give me 15 right there. How about 2? Sandy, you back in at 2 now, 2 now, 25. We've got 25. She's got it at 2. You're in at 25. New money in the back. Can you give me 3? Don't let him have it. $3,000. You'd have been 35. Back to you, sir. $3,500. There goes to the lady in the front. Are you in or are you out? Your table wants you to have it. 35. Last call for, oh, he's bidding 35. So that's how we do it. You guys can check out later. Any other questions? Does anyone want to be an auctioneer? We do need more. Preferably women. Sorry, guys, but I think women can raise a lot of money. All right. Well, it has been my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Erin, thank you so much. We have a little token of our appreciation, which has got some things from the Charleston area, which of course you'll be familiar with, but we appreciate what entertainment. So coming up next week, we're going to the International African American Museum as a group. I believe we have 22 tickets sold out of 24 that we've purchased. Anybody that's around, we have a sign-up sheet. I think the tickets are $14. Very reasonable. Yes? So we'd like to fill those last 2 spots. One of the things that we're looking to do is see if we can do some fellowship after we do the tour. And there's a restaurant called Mercantile and Mash, which is in where the old cigar factory is. And we'd really love to have a little bit of lunch, a little bit of brunch, and get to know each other better. If we can do that, we'll remind folks as we do the tour. Following that, on the 4th of September, Mary Jo, who is gone, will be leading us in our membership campaign for this year. And at the board meeting last night, she explained what her plan is, and it's terrific. We've got all fronts covered in terms of ways to attract members, to retain members, and to get all of our members engaged. So that's really something that I'm looking forward to. Hopefully you'll all appreciate that. And then on the 11th of September, everyone knows what happened. Well, some people are younger, although maybe Evan, not a whole lot of people are that. At any rate, it's a sad day for America. A lot of us were affected maybe for the rest of our lives about what happened on 9/11. And one of the things we decided is there's a lot of folks here that had things happen to them that may still be a part of what they're doing and what they're like today. And so some of our members are going to share what happened that day. And we think it'll be very meaningful for all of our members. And as Tom said, we are doing something in support of the veterans right after that meeting, where we're going to pack lunches for an event that the veterans are having later on. So we're hopefully going to be serving our country as best we can. So any questions? Okay. Well, I think we're going to close our meeting with the 4-way test, which I will lead. Please stand. Of the things we think, say, or do, first, truth. Second, third, will build goodwill and better friendship. And fourth, thanks so much for coming.